Your keynote today, you focus on disruptive and innovative technologies, don't you? So I wanted, as I was discussing with you before, for you to do the impossible and consolidate your keynote speech down into this relatively short interview.
Okay. So and today's challenge would be, time
starts now.
Yeah, of course. So what we're seeing in the world at the moment is we get this cycle of media talking about new technologies and then adoption curves. So we've had
media being me talking about AI. Yeah. I'm so excited. It's shiny. You know.
Artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, blockchain, etc. They're being commonly talked about in isolation. There is a real trend starting to emerge from Silicon Valley about what happens when these technologies converge and they come together. And there's lots of different expressions for what's happening here. Some people call it Business 5.0. I call it the convergence. Silicon Valley calls it the DAO, the Distributed Autonomous Organization. The fundamental principle of the DAO is really simple. It's an organization without any people. So where the technology does the role of the people. So artificial intelligence will do logistics, it will manage finance, it will manage marketing, it will manage a lot of the decision making. You have distributed ledger technology like blockchain that's actually managing the complete secure communications around the organization, between customer, in the supply chain, between purchasers. You've got the Internet of Things that actually allows you to take a real-time look end to end, all the way again from the consumer, all the way into the supply chain and your original supply manufacturers. So you've got a wealth of technology now that's starting to come together that's enabling these organizations, these DAOs, to exist without people. And that's the really critical part of it, because I think a lot of investors see that the ultimate level of competitiveness is actually not having any overhead inside of the business. This technology allows, when it converges together, when it's being set up properly with the right business model, allows an organization to be self-running. Now, you might take an example, let's say, for example, a car hire business that allows car owners to rent their cars to other people. Well, you don't need people in the center because the transactions are secured by a distributed ledger system. A smart contract sit in the middle to make sure that when certain criteria have been met, other things are actually executed. You've got the financial transactions going over a blockchain type scenario, so they are immutable and not changeable, encrypted, the whole 9 yards. You've got an AI system that's running the marketing. You've got an AI system that's running the consumer interface, because chatbot technology, which I think is going to be huge over the next 5 years and massively impactful in a positive way to businesses. So what the bet is starting to look like is organizations that become self-running with very few people in them, and really the only people in them are actually the developers themselves. Everything else is extraneous, just not needed for the organization. So I talked to one VC and he said, we're looking to expect net profits of 90-95% from many of these organizations over the next 5 to 7 years.
So there's a few things I find interesting about that. First of all, we're in no way there yet, are we? I know during your keynote...
We're a long way there.
We're a long way there. I know during your keynote you were talking about the level of one of those emerging technologies, so take artificial intelligence. We're at sort of a relatively singular state of artificial intelligence up until you were showing a demonstration of IBM Watson technology, of how that's slightly changing and the stages might be moving forward a bit.
I think the stage is moving forward at an exponential rate here. So for those people that saw the deck, I used the analogy, the Groucho Marx joke going back to the 1930s was, this morning I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got into my pajamas, I don't know. Well, we know because we have context in the world that actually elephants don't wear pajamas and they don't pick up guns and they don't shoot people. But narrow AI, which is sort of where we are at this moment in time, doesn't understand the rest of the context to be able to work that one out. Narrow AI is becoming very, very, very powerful, but deep learning, general AI, is also starting to catch up very rapidly. Now, IBM has just brought out this debating robot that actually will debate with human beings.
It was victorious.
And has been victorious under certain circumstances, but nevertheless, we're starting real breakthrough there, and this exponential learning capability of a deep learning computer. But the real trick here is not necessarily the technology itself, but actually where the data comes from. So a lot of people are speculating that the Chinese government will actually win the race over AI because they've got 1.5 billion people.
They've got the biggest amount of data.
They've got the biggest amount of data and no privacy rules.
Well, that helps.
Yeah, it really does help an awful lot, so that they can be learning from their people about what their activities are. I mean, there is something going on in China at the moment where these AI systems and social scoring systems, I saw some data last week that 26 million people in China had been excluded from travel because an AI system had decided that their social score, bring in Black Mirror episodes,
yes,
right, actually wasn't suitable and they hadn't earned the right to go travel.
Wow, okay. I hate to think what my social score would be if it was ever ranked by the UK. So we're probably further along the process than I and probably a lot of the viewers imagine we are.
Yes.
How close are we to sort of fully autonomous businesses, effectively, do you think?
It's completely dependent on the style of business. So anything that's rentable, I think, is much closer. Manufacturing businesses with...
More and more things are becoming rentable, I suppose.
More and more things. I mean, this is the sharing economy. We've been in the sharing economy for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Even manufacturing businesses, so very dexterous AI-driven robots, which definitely exist now on the shop floor, actually removing jobs so they become sort of fully autonomous. I understand that Amazon's got 45,000 robots in its workforce at this moment in time, and they're growing them at a serious rate of knots, and they are becoming more intelligent by way of doing it. So even organizations where you didn't think that you were going to get fully autonomous, you might get to a point where they maybe get 45% autonomous, and that makes a big difference to their profitability. And I think there's a huge amount of positives here as well. So you take the National Health Service in the UK, Google is working on a project to use AI to actually generate a single customer health record. So a physician has got the ability to look at your complete medical history from many different parts. So your previous doctor's notes, which of course are virtually illegible, all the way through to prescriptions, all the way through to your comments you made on social media. They bring this into one place and then can start running predictive health as a direct result of having a single customer view to be able to do this. So that sort of autonomy becomes immensely valuable to the human race.
You talk about some of the benefits there, and the example you used then was the NHS. There is a reticence generally that I think I've probably seen, and I don't know whether you'd agree, in the general public. There's a sort of fear around technology and autonomy in terms of there's always a robot is going to replace me. I mean, it's going to be years until a robot can effectively do my interviewing, probably sooner than I think.
I think it's going to be a lot sooner than you think, yes.
Well, I mean, hopefully it's just not very good. But do you think that's a potential challenge to the development and the success of these systems, or is this going to happen regardless of public opinion?
So I think that I think to make the case for this is, when you say is it going to happen, it feels like it's a binary operation. It's not. It's here already. I mean, there are the Washington...
Already on the way. We're rolling down the hill, effectively.
We don't even notice it. I mean, the Washington Post came out last year and said it's had a robot reporter write 850 articles. You've got Skyscanner transacted 1 billion chatbot transactions in the past year as well. Consumers just don't realise it because the bots are getting to the point now that they're so not necessarily intelligent, but they're so integrated that you just don't notice they're actually happening. So it's not like artificial intelligence is not here today, but it's going to be here tomorrow morning. It's going to remove your job, right? Actually, it's here now. It's just a question of how much it's being used, how much it's being integrated, and that will only ever rise at an exponential process.